Awesome.
His grandfather on the
I'm not sure.
like 5'7".
I don't know, it's gotta be something like that.
So those are not performance of
No, definitely not. I received the short notes.
Is this linked to some?
I'm taller than you. And my brother, his mom is very my brother is 5'9". She's like, I figured I'd wait till after you guys are married. I was like, she's really funny. I like that one.
I got a little scary one, but here's what you have for it.
I'm pissed. I know they're not short. They're like 5'7", 5'8". The smallest one.
Oh, I got it.
8 pounds.
All right, let's move on. All right, so the next exercise, again, it's going to be super challenging. I'll be honest with you. Okay, we'll have like half an hour to complete that. Again, but it's not relevant if you are still confused and you haven't done the previous ones. Okay, it doesn't really make sense to go forward. We'll slack this out, and people who have completed, who have a general understanding of how to use it, please go ahead and complete the next one. If you are still kind of struggling with the previous one, again, I would recommend try to complete that, and then do this after you are done. You won't have time today, of course, so go back and then do this. This is called Coder's Bay, and this is how it looks like. Okay, I'll show you what it does. But again, if you haven't been able to, you're confused about the click counter, confused about the more properties one, using multiple properties in it, right? Again, go back and continue working on that, right? Because this one, again, I said, is a more challenging one. If that is not complete, this one makes sense to you. Okay, because these are using some new properties of Firebase. So I want you guys, whoever is doing this, I want you to go to the documentation and see the functions. And I'll go through the documentation really quickly. But before I begin, everybody understand what I'm saying? Got it? So work, if previous ones are not done, this one is not really useful. Okay, but for people who have done this, and I'll go through this one, Max will slack out if he hasn't already, and then we'll be working on this one. So 30 minutes, and then we'll move on to some more last concept, that's even more challenging, unfortunately. Okay, so but I will show you what it is. All right, any questions? Good.
We're going to go over the one that we started before lunch.
Which one? The name one? I can go. What part are you not sure about?
So I'm getting some text, but not all the text in the database.
Okay. Okay. How many other people are having issues? I'll kick off this one and then 2. Okay, 3. You also? Okay.
And it just wouldn't get like when it went to the database, it wouldn't see.
Oh, you know what that could be? Is it doesn't show you the full text. It kind of cuts part of it off. If you double click in there, that'll allow you to see the full value.
Okay. So let me kick this off for people who are done, and then we'll come back and review the previous one really quickly. Okay. All right. So before we begin the next one also, you saw how fast it is. It's called a runtime database for a reason. What kind of application do you think are useful here? Something that instantaneously requires an update. If you're using Firebase, for what application you would use it? Games? banking, social media, chat services also. You want message to be there right there, not like after even 2 minutes is too much, right? So this is, as I said, it's used in mobile phones, chat services. That's where we do any case you want an instantaneous update. But if that is not your requirement, then Firebase is not useful to you, right? Okay, I just want to make sure everybody understands what's the real use case for it. For now, we are using it because it's easy to understand, well, easy to incorporate with the knowledge that we have. Okay, you can use JavaScript to communicate with it. Yes?
So are they using this on like websites or apps like Twitter?
I don't think Twitter uses it. They have their own system. But you would find this being used in like a non-IT kind of company, right? People who this product is for companies, you know, they don't want to invest or they want to create their whole infrastructure. Twitter is big and that's their model, so they have created their own thing. This would be more, I don't know if they have customers listed over here, but I've seen that people who create mobile apps, they use Firebase a lot for the notification part. This way. Twitter, yeah, probably not Twitter. They probably have their own thing. If you have heard of Kafka, that's coming from, oh, that's LinkedIn actually, never mind. But Twitter has their own thing. Okay? All right, any other thing? All right, so let me kick off this one. This one is, what am I doing over here? You can put your name. You're going to create your own database. The starter code is there. Understand, go through the code and see what is happening. Okay? But eventually you just have to, it's like eBay, and then you have to put a bid that is more or less, and it tells you. So let's do 81. And it kind of updates it. Okay? It looks simple, but look at the code. It's doing a lot more stuff. So we are saving it to the database, and this is coming from the database. All right? So create a new database. Again, get in the habit of it. Create your configs, and then there's already a starter code over there. Okay, they're using a couple of new things. Again, the documentation is over here. If you go to Firebase, they have guides, and they have the guides by what you're trying to do. Okay, if you're looking into the real-time databases, they have look into the web part. Don't go into iOS and Android because that's not what we are doing. And they have all the documentation over here. And the functions that we are using is in the reference. You go into your reference and then search for JavaScript. Let's go into our database, look at the reference, and then it should show up all the functions that we are using. We looked at on, we looked at ref, okay? And then in this particular exercise, I think we are looking at something to do with the child nodes. I think it's this one. But look at the starter code first and see what's going on before you proceed. Okay, this thing. So look at the documentation and make sure you understand what's going on. It's already there, but I would recommend you understanding what's going on and then proceeding with it. Okay? All right, so for people for the previous one, let's look at that one. Let's see. This one, most recent one, right? Okay, so what is going on over here? You created your database, all right? And then you are saving, let's come back to this one later on.
Did that like overwrite the data?
Yes, it is going to overwrite. We will see how not to overwrite in the next class. First, today it's going to overwrite. Why? Because the method that we are using is called set. This basically means it's going to create a new one if it doesn't exist. Otherwise, if it exists, it's going to update it. Okay? There's another method. We'll look at that in the next class. We'll look at it in a while, but I'm not going to go over it in detail. But next class, we'll see how to not update it, how to insert a proper row. Okay? So in this one, Randy and everybody who's asking, were you able to retrieve what the input is using this jQuery? You figured it out?
Yeah.
Okay. What about anybody else confused? So this is, again, lines number 14 to 17, 114 to 117. Simple jQuery. We are getting the values back from our form. Okay. The next is the new one. So once we have these values, what are we doing? We are inserting into our database. Okay, as soon as you click the add user button. Okay, so this is the add when you use the add button. Now this code, the on value is outside any event. Do you understand that? Everybody gets it? It's not inside add user. So when will this code execute? Every time your page comes up, every time you refresh your page. So what am I saying? I'm saying if there is a value in the database, pull that value, again JSON parsing, and then show it on the screen. Okay, if there's no data, it's going to give you a null. So I would add a null check, make sure it's not null before you try to display it. Or you will just show null, null, null values. Which line? Which method? This one? Tell me the line number. Online 100. Yeah, these are just creating variables. Yeah, I'm just creating variables over here. Okay, and then this is what you, so on value, it is always listing if there is any change or whenever your page comes up. This one?
No, 107.
Again, similar to my click counter, the only change over here is I have new form fields and I'm just saving multiple values here.
Go back to the error object. You were saying it needs to be outside.
Error object. This one? Yeah. Okay. So what is going on over here? So your dot on method has 3 arguments now. The first argument is the string, which is the event type. Okay. The second argument is a callback function, which has snapshot in it or any response that comes back. The third argument is this error thing. Okay. So basically my on function has 3 arguments. The first argument again is the event type. The second is called a success callback. So this function is going to get called when everything is good, happy path, you have a success you are able to read from your database. The third argument is optional, but it is highly recommended that you put it. The third argument is going to get called if there is any error. The on function knows the first function is a success function, the second function is always an error function. So if there is any error in this function, something happens, it will come to this path. And it's going to execute this callback function, not this one. Okay, success, failure, success, error. And this is kind of standard going forward when we will be using Node.js or some other libraries. They come back with a success callback and an error callback. Okay, error is usually optional, so you can skip this. But what will happen is if there's any error, you just won't be able to catch it. Just like a try catch. Excellent. Yeah. So there's no try catch over here. So what they do is if there's an error, they call the second callback. If there's success, they call the first callback. Again, error object. Do I have to call it error object? No, I can call anything. I can call it E. This is also fine. Error doesn't matter. Only thing is whatever variable that I'm using over here, that's the one I have to use it in the next one. Okay. Again, everybody clear on the snapshot part also? Snapshot, you can put anything. It doesn't matter. But since Firebase documentation uses snapshot, we are trying to be consistent. And the reason is Firebase is saying, at this instance, I'm going to give you the snapshot that I have, like the snapshot of the database. It's so fast that your website is being shared across different people and might be updating quickly. But at this instant, this is what I have. It might have been updated, I don't know, but at this instant, this is a snapshot. That's why they call this variable snapshot, but again, you can call it anything you want, doesn't matter. Okay. Yeah, it's over there. I hope people are working on the coders day. Please somebody just raise their hand and say I'm working. Yes, that's awesome. Did you get it working? Doctor?
Oh yeah. Yeah. Yeah, I was doing the other one. This is the Firebase thing is confusing, and now I see it's stupid. But I should go. I'm clicking around, I'm just looking for the code, and I'm like, oh, it's right there. So I created a new database, all that.
Okay.
You don't need the project ID. You know, how can you just you're like kind of you didn't use all the parts of that the config snippet.
This part? Oh, this is the what would I say? Like the default solution, but I would simply just copy paste the whole thing here.
Oh,
yeah.
you would?
When if you saw my examples, I would just copy pasting the whole thing. Yeah.
Okay.
It might be the version it gets updated, Firebase version that I'm using or we are using. We're using the latest one, so they might have included that project key in that. Yeah. So I would yes, whatever they have the code, I would just copy paste it. Yeah. This is just the boilerplate solution that would be posted. That's why you see that.
But this is good. Yeah, that's good. So close it after you say something like 24. How much is it? That's good. This is okay. This after this. So we can look at this one. So this one, the purple. No, purple. Oh, sorry. Purple. So, okay. Yeah. So that's good. So you don't have other. Oh, you have that. Oh, so.
You made it work. Oh, congrats.
I didn't feel like I was done.
Because now we're going to like support because we're good.
Thanks.
It works. I don't know why, but it's working. That works. I put something somewhere and I don't know where, but it's working.
I didn't even do anything. Oh, I already knew that.
Oh my gosh. Look at this hug. My dog. The two black ones. That one's probably
Are they going to train?
baby cat.
Oh, I'll read, right. I like the one up on the wall. I got the top spot.
Yeah, that's
Then this will happen. Now what's the next part? Next part is when the page loads. When the page comes up.
This is not ready.
Then it shows
It's not ready to date.
does that go board inside the fingerprint? Yeah, that's what it is. Now when I refresh my page, right, am I clicking the button? No, when I refresh my page, I'm not clicking the button. No, I'm not clicking the button. Okay. If I don't click that button. Make sure that go to the database and read the last one. Page loads, right? It should go to the database, read that thing, even without it. When the page comes up, right? I want to go to my database.
Okay.
See if there's
You're trying to
if there is a user and bring the information back.
Yeah.
Yep. I see that real quick. It's coming from all the same color.
When I click my submit button, I'm saving that library. So that's missing. That's you have that.
So that's what was
Now
happening.
what you want is when you refresh the page goes the first time. And I click this I'm not clicking it. I want to go and check my database if there's any library, bring it back and show it over. That's what it is.
Yeah, so you see this thing? Why is it coming up? It's on the page. You didn't click this. Right, it's already good. But I want this to be updated on the database. There's no subject button right now. So this information, when the page loads, there's a part where you're setting. See if there's any.
No, it looks like mine are all blue like that. Okay, so that's not.
So go ahead and put some.
I forgot to do the arrow.
No, another way.
Well, how much was that?
Yeah, I didn't create error.
Um,
That again. I don't fully understand, so.
Go back to your page and check the console.
So all this 36.
Oh, did you respect it?
All I have to do is
Understand
just screw
why,
randomly
or why we just decided now and then that's error.
The system's using this automatically console log. Sometimes console log. Actually, that's. I mean, I can. The line references are like blank lines. It looks like it's coming from there's nothing on it. I'm making troubleshooting.
That's really weird, to be honest. I'm not really sure how that.
I'm gonna try out the socket.
Yeah. Hold on. I don't even know.
Yeah, that's the that
Yeah, no, you're right. Oh, where's your video? Using them for
Just to learn this.
No, I think it should be the same thing.
You get it? No.
Like, this is the right URL, the API, well, it doesn't matter. Tell it. Sorry, every time I go
Yeah, maybe it's just a lot to make sure you get all the steps. Alright, so go ahead and get everything. It's working.
Speaking of that, what's up? You decided to run the front end of the bus? That's what we're like. It's like, right? And then we were right there.
Now the initial load is going to be outside. It's not going to be your alert, your click function. So this thing is done. This is outside your click function. All of this. Okay, so you are done with this one. This is outside. This it's not inside this anymore. And this is what will get you when you refresh your page, the initial values.
I commented how the error option.
Right, that's at the wrong place. It should be outside, it should be over here. Outside this add user function. It's not, this piece of code is outside this. So you have to, at the end of this, when this finishes, then you have to code this out. It's not inside this anymore. You get that part? So this goes, what's the end of your... Yeah, it's not. That error code is much better on this. No, not over here. It's at the wrong place. But you have to, the error function, again, you have to write this is just one small part. You have to write this whole thing. And then all of this is outside the add user function. It's outside. It's not inside.
That's what we're trying. I just have like a what you said, something that's like instead of management, I forgot to set the variable for the database. And I was like, what if it's not defined?
The other damn piece. I know what it is.
Yeah. I'm like, for Firebase,
Part of that on value. So on, first argument, second argument, third argument. So it's part of this. So it's like this. Oh, sorry. So this is one function. These are all together. This is part of this thing. What is it? Yeah. So you are missing this part. Initial. All right, anybody able to complete the coders way? You were? Okay, excellent. 2. What is it? I didn't get the last part. Yeah.
It's like, take a shot.
Yeah, take a shot. This is. Yeah.
Your mom? She said to the guy who's medically can't drink. Yes. The most sober individual.
Yeah, so
All right, let me go through the. I see a couple of people are done with this one. I want to. Let's see. Okay. First of all, those people who are attempting the Coders Bay, were you able to set up the database? All good? No? Oh, okay. So that's why I'm saying people who were attempting like 20, 30 minutes ago. Is database good? Okay.
we're good, we're good, we're good.
All right. So what's the functionality for Coders Bay? That you have to type in your name and you submit. If it's a higher bid, it goes and saves it to the database. Okay. If it's a lower bid, what happens? It says error. It's too low. It doesn't do anything. All right. You cannot post it to your database. Everybody clear? So what am I? When am I saving to my database? When I click something, and it checks. So you have an if statement somewhere that checks to see what is the current bid. If my current bid is greater, then it goes and saves it to the database. If it is lower, it just errors out and doesn't save anything. Okay? All right. So what is the first thing that I have to do? Even before I submit, I need to populate this part, right? From my previous exercises, when my page loads, right? Every time I refresh my page, oops. So I didn't run this. Nope, I'm in the JavaScript file. Okay, when my page load comes up, I need to get this information from my database. Okay, if there's nothing, it will give you null, so please handle those nulls. Okay, everybody good on this? So what do I have to use? Which function? We saw two, on and set. So which one are we using? So close. 50% chance and that's it. All right, so again, when I load my page, my values are in my database. Okay, I want to retrieve it. I want to read it. So what method would I use? On. Okay. Right. Everybody clear on that? Set is for setting. On is for retrieving. Okay. So when my page loads, first thing I want to do is I want to use my on function and get these values back from my database. Okay. And that's what this is. We'll start with this. Okay. So you have your database.ref, database.on. Whenever there's an initial value, this is what I want to do. We'll look at the rest of the stuff in a bit. Let me minimize this. Okay. So on function. On function takes in 3 arguments over here. The first one is the event type. That's what we call it. And the second two are, what's the second two? Somebody said. First is the event type. What is the second one?
Oh, error check.
Second one. Success. Excellent. Third one is the error check. The first one is always going to be a callback function that checks for, that is going to get work if it is successful. Okay. The second one is always going to be an error. Okay. Error is simple. Just console log the error, and then you can see what the error is. Okay.
Callback, success, error.
Callback. Well, the first is event type. Every time the value changes. The second is success. The third is failure or error. Okay. The first is not a callback, right? It's a string. Second two are callbacks, right? So error one is easy. If there's any error, console log it, or when we get to more sophisticated way of showing that error, we'll see that. All right. This is where the logic writes. Now I'm trying to load this. So what do I have to do? Now I have successfully, this is the difficult part. I got to my database gave me my value, right? What does it gives me back? It gives me this and this. Let me open the database here. Yep, excellent. So it gives you whatever you guys have your JSON set as. Okay, so it gives you these two, name and a price, right? In the code, if you are using the starter template, it's called high bidder and high price. Okay, so the first time the page loads, you're going to get your high bidder and high price, and then you have to just show it on these tags. And how do we show them? Use jQuery. Thank you. Yes. So we use jQuery, we find this tag, and then we parse this JSON, which will have high bidder and high price, and then show it over here. Okay, this is even without looking at the code. That's what it seems like. We'll look at the code in a minute. But do you guys get the idea? What do I have to do?
Yeah. So just
Okay.
on the unsolved template, it should have somebody under highest bidder. It should have a name popping up.
No.
Oh.
Yeah. No, because that's what you call it. In the code, yes, they are referring it to it, but your database doesn't have anything right now when you start off. So it won't have anything. But eventually, this is how it's going to be. Oops, where did it go? Oh, good. Which part? Okay. No, we are there. Nothing came right after that. So what am I doing now? I'm saying what will it take to write this code? Write this part of the code. I'm guessing, I'm trying to get to that point. I haven't shown any code what it is. We are trying to pseudocode it right now. Right, that will come. You need to use those variables. But what I'm doing right now is I'm pseudocoding. I'm asking you guys, how do I get to this point right now? What do I have to do? I have to read from the database and show it in my, use jQuery to show these things. Those variables will come. We'll see that code. But do you understand the pseudocode? What do we have to do? Do you understand that? We have to, so we have to read from the database, get those values back, and use jQuery to show these values over here. That's all I have to do right now. Okay? And how do I read from my database? The on function, right? We have to on and set. We're going to use on to read from the database. Now I have read my database and my snapshot, this variable has this data inside it now. Okay? It has this. Now I'm going to declare and create those variables and all that stuff. Okay. Now in your template, you already have snapshot.child high bidder. Anybody looked up the documentation and see what that means?
I was just trying to get a value pushed.
Value pushed. Well, you have to get the value back first and then push it. So you're going the other way around.
Oh, wow.
Okay. All right. So let's look at the documentation. What basically this is saying is if these two values exist. Remember what I was saying? If this doesn't exist, you will get a null. Right? Do a null check. That's what I've been saying in the previous two exercises. And this is how you do the null check. What is going on over here? It goes to this database. The first time it runs, these do not exist, right? We saw that whenever we create the new database. So what that code is saying, it's saying go and check if these high bidder and high price is there. If it is there, then only do something. If it's not, then just don't do anything, right? Because those don't even exist. This is how you do the null check in your code to check if these values exist, high bidder and high price. Right, the first time if I delete these two values, what's going to be there? There won't be anything. All right, when I try to retrieve it, it will just give me null. In the previous exercise, people were getting null. Did you get null the first time you start, right? So that's what it is doing. So it will return you null. So this function basically just goes and checks, oh, is this there? Is this there? Yes, it is there, then do something. If it is not, then don't do anything. That's how you check for null. Okay, so now, yes.
So the exists method, is that only the Firebase?
Yes, perfect. This is all Firebase. Dot child. I showed you the documentation. That's what I was saying. Look at the code. That's why it had in the starter code so that you guys don't have to try to find out what to use, but what the expectation is. Where's my documentation? Did I close it? Maybe I did. So what you have to go through the documentation and find out what that child method is doing. It already exists in Firebase. So you're in JavaScript, database, reference, and on the right side it will show you all the methods, and in the code we are using child. Okay, so this shows you what you have to do and all that stuff. All right. So within that child method there exists a function that will tell you if this property exists in the database or not. Okay, so keep a note of this, and every time now you're doing your exercises, this is how you would check to make sure when your database loads if these values exist or not. If they don't exist, you don't have to do anything. This means it's a newly created database. I haven't done anything. Okay, moving on. If it exists, now what do I have to do? I'm just parsing this snapshot.val.highBidder and then parse high price, these two values over here. Okay, why am I doing parse int? To change it to an integer, because it comes back as a string, so I'm changing it to an integer, making sure that this is an integer. Okay, the next part, what did I say? You have to show it in your jQuery. So the next part is jQuery. So you're going to find these tags and then put the value over here. Oh, somebody updated this. This is one of you guys. Okay, don't put too much value. This is kind of shared across everybody. So, all right. So you see, I can see if somebody is updating over here. All right. Are we good on this part? We should be. With jQuery, still no database. All right, so this completes the on function. When will this get executed? Again, the first time when your page loads, it shows up over here. Okay. Now, the next part is when I click submit. This should be relatively easier. So what do I have to do? I have to capture these name and price. Price, I just have to check if it is larger than this, then go ahead and make the database call. If it is not, then don't do anything. Okay, that's the pseudocode. Bidder name, bidder price. I get it from my jQuery, get those two values. The next one I'm checking, if this is higher than this, then it's good. Then I'm going to make the database call. If it is not, then I just show this error. Sorry, the bid was too low. Okay, if this is good, I'm using the set method. I set those high bidder, high price, and that's it. It goes and updates to the database. Oop, went up to 90. And there's like a price war going on over here. Yeah. All right. Questions on this code? What is it? Again, we are only focused on literally just these two methods. Okay. All right. No question. Then I'll 20 minutes. I'll show you a new concept, and if you are still struggling with this, then just watch it and nod that you got it. Okay, because the next one is good to know. If you understand, it's really valuable. It's a really nice thing that Firebase has, but it's a little bit trickier. Okay. All right. Let's look at the last topic, and then all right, so the next concept is called presence. Where is? I think it is in the guidelines. Okay, so in your guide in the documentation, if you go and search for enable offline capabilities, so what happens is Firebase keeps track of the clients that are connected to your database. What do I mean by clients over here? Browser. Right? So anybody who is connected to your website, what it means is anybody who is on your website, who is opening your your website. If you're using Firebase, it keeps track of how many browsers or how many tabs have been connecting to this database. All right, you can actually count and see how many people, but I'm saying people, but basically from Firebase perspective, it is seeing how many connections are there to your Firebase. That'll be 2 entries. Yes, yes. If you open the same website in 2 tabs, it's a twice. It's like 2 things are connected. So what is it basically check? It is checking how many connections are there. For us, we are saying simplifying. We're saying browser because that's where we're connecting. But from the Firebase perspective, it is checking how many hits or how many connections am I getting to this database. So you can actually look at it and you can find out how many basically people are connected to your website. Okay, so this is a really good functionality. And when somebody closes, when the client goes offline or kind of somebody closes the tab, what happens to the connection? It goes away. The count decreases. Okay, so Firebase kind of updates it real time. It lets you know how many clients are connected, and if somebody disconnects, they call it offline. Somebody goes offline, it will be like, oh, okay, 1 client went away. Okay. Again, I said good use cases. This can be used in chat services and everything. So that's why you can keep track and you say, oh, somebody disconnected. Oh, this person is offline. If you have an app like that. Okay. Give me more information. How would you use it with SEO? Okay. Yeah, you can totally use this. SEO, I thought from the search optimization that you include some tags over there so that your site kind of comes up on Google. That's what I was thinking.
Could you do that? I mean, from an SEO level,
connection.
Started naming things. Keywords.
Yeah, well, that's what SEO was.
Well, I mean,
I haven't tried it, but from the definition, that's what SEO seems like. That you put in tags, and that's how Google kind of goes through it. Okay, now how do we implement this in our code? Let me show you. Oh man, let's see. I'm going to copy my Firebase API code. Include this. Okay. Let me go to my click counter. I'm going to copy my code. I'm going to use the same config. Update this. Okay. All right, let's go back to our index. I already have this thing. I don't have my Firebase added, so I'm going to go ahead and add my Firebase, and then I need to add my custom script. Oops. Firebase API. Oops, why is it not? Oh, that's better. Yes. Okay. All right. So I just copied the project that I already created. I'm going to create a tag, and I'm going to see how many connections does my browser has. Create a span, give it an ID. let's call it watchers. Okay. Um, watchers, people are watching. Let's do this. Oops. Okay. All right, let's go back to our code now. All right, so again, this is, I'm just looking at the documentation and showing, this is what it is saying. Detecting connection state. And they have code over here, which we can directly use. But if you go through, what is it saying? What is this dot info slash connected? We looked at ref, right? What do you think it means? It's a what? What is it? I didn't get it.
Boolean.
Boolean. What is, somebody said collection. Yes. So dot ref refers to a collection, right? Remember, we had a path over there, and every time you create something, it puts up a collection. So dot info slash connected is a connection, but it is reserved for Firebase. You won't be able to see it. So Firebase is maintaining those connections in this collection. Dot info slash connected. It's hidden. Yes, it is hidden. But how do you refer it? They let you refer it like this, but you don't have to create it. You don't have to change it or anything. Firebase saves all those connections in this collection. Collection and connected. So you can just simply use this code. You see over here? Oh, that's what you were saying, the Boolean thing? Yeah. So it's a collection that has data which is stored as Boolean, like true and false. But it is still a collection which is not visible to you. So let's copy, paste this code. So my collection is info, and I'm using the connected Boolean as, I forgot the name. Mike was suggesting. Okay, so now I don't want alerts right now, so I'm going to remove these alerts. It's going to keep bugging me. Okay, so what am I doing now? I'm getting my value. Every time there's a connection, I get that value back. And then if it is true, this means somebody connected. If it is false, then somebody disconnected. Okay. So let's go ahead and this is good. So what I'm going to do is we are going to create our own connections. Ref database. Oops. So what did I just do in line number 5? I created a new connection. Collection. Yeah, it's confusing. Right? All right. So this is my connection. So this collection is not present in my click counter. I'm creating a new one. Okay, that's how I start with my collection. Let me remove this so that it comes inside it. All right. So what am I going to use this? I'm going to var connection okay, let me complete this and then we'll see what is happening. Set on disconnected. Let's go back here. Else, I don't want anything to be done. Okay. So what am I doing over here? we saw the set function. We look at the push in the next class. But what push does is, what does set do? It adds it and keeps updating the stuff, right? If you don't want it updated, you want to create a new record, you use the push. So right now, just understand what I'm doing is, every time there's a connection, I'm creating a new collection and I'm pushing the value through inside. That's what I'm doing. Okay? When there's a disconnect, this is the function. Somebody was asking, how do you remove the rows? Again, we'll look at this more in detail, but remove is a function that you can remove the rows. Okay, if there's a disconnect. So let me complete this and we are going to run this and see what happens. So connections refs, this is my collection dot on. Okay, if there's a value change, okay, I'm going to call this function, okay, and then the error function. Okay, this is easy, so let me fill this out. So I'm going to say log error. Same on function that I'm using, and let's fill this one out now. So this one will have snapshot. Okay, and then I'm going to output the number to my watchers ID. So I have watchers, just use text, snapshot, where's my reference, database reference, there was a number of child function. Where did I see that? Where it is? Snapshot. Oh, there it is. Num-child. Alright, let's see what this one does. Okay. So who can tell what I just did over here? What is connection graph? It's a collection called connections, and then on value, the same function that we have seen. Whenever the value changes, I'm doing something. What am I doing? I'm updating my jQuery, I'm updating my HTML with num children. Where did I define my database variable? Who asked that? Good. Somewhere over here.
Oh, okay. I see it.
So let's run this and see if this is even right. Inspect. Okay. Nobody is watching. So let me open this in a new window. Nobody is watching. It's
Some help increasing the traffic.
yeah. I should host this and then. Oh, the connections are being created. Okay. Connections. Do I have a typo somewhere? Watchers. So I have my watchers. I'm setting my text. Okay, let's debug this, put a console log and make sure this is coming back good. Okay, my database is working, it's just not showing up here. Okay, oh, I do have it. So I'm just messing up my jQuery, looks like. But this is working. I see three people are watching. Okay, so I'm just not updating my jQuery correctly. So I have my watchers, no typo. Okay. Do I need to do what? Oh. So yeah, I want to override this text. It should give me some number, right?
Right, but not people watching.
Yeah, that's what I was checking. Oh, why do I have a hash over here? Ah.
Can you put hashtag
Now I have to check my jQuery. Oh, that's a good one, yeah. All right, no need for console. So, yeah. So now if I open this in a new tab, you see, this keeps going up. So, and look at this. As soon as I close, it gets updated everywhere. As soon as I close this, 2 people. This is super fast. Again, no local storage. It's actually going to the database and coming back. And this is how my database looks like. It keeps updating. As soon as I close the connection, kind of goes away.
Would it be, are you just doing a separate presence.js file just for instruction purposes, or would that be broken out in practice?
It will be broken out in practice.
Really?
Yeah, yeah. I mean, you don't want everything in your HTML.
What about in your regular JavaScript file?
Regular JavaScript
Like
file.
you have an API file that's up in Firebase.
Oh yeah, you were not there in the beginning of the class. Yes, so I have broken it down into different files. Yeah, because I don't like my code to be everything. Like I can move this code in my presence.js and it will still work. But why did I do this? Because I'm using this file in other projects. All I have to do is copy paste this file in something else and it starts working. It's easy for me. I don't have to remember to declare this variable. I keep forgetting this and my code doesn't work. So now this is always going to be there. I just have to copy the whole file into something else.
Makes sense.
Okay. We don't have time, but I'll post it's a bonus exercise, changing the coders bay. But first, go back to the previous one, complete the coders bay, and in the next coders bay exercise that will be on your GitLab, it is actually verifying and it's going to add this to your code. You know, you see in eBay, 2 people watching, 3 people watching. You need to add this feature in your coders bay. All right, so first complete the previous one, then come to this one. I'll post all the exercises. I'll post the solution also. Please go back. This is really important because you'll be using Firebase in your project also. Okay? All right, questions? Yes. No, no, it's not fake number. Yeah. Yeah. All right. Can you post the last quarter, please? Yeah. Do the activity first. I'll post the solution. Nice.
Yeah. So there's spring training, guard training, or not guard training, guard training.